And this weekend, we had a cohort of more than 160 media personalities and journalists, many of them, of course, from left-leaning publications like their ABC and The Guardian and the Nine newspapers. They all signed an open letter calling on Australian newsrooms to apply the same quote-unquote professional scepticism to uncorroborated Israeli government information as it applies to the terrorist group Hamas. Now, Nine's editorial leadership team in response has banned journalists who signed the letter from reporting on the conflict. And then you had the Walkley Awards during the week, where the co-host Patrick Abboud used his platform at the event to call on journalists to support a ceasefire in the Middle East. I mean, come on, seriously, they're not hiding where they're coming from, but nor do they need to. Because
but I find that helpful. To be honest, I find that helpful. Look, is it detestable? Is it wrong? Obviously. But thanks for unmasking yourselves. Thank you very much. I plan not to read any further of your content. Done.
Well, luckily, Nine newspapers has very wisely taken the step of saying, okay, all of you signatories, you are now barred from covering this conflict at all or being involved in production. That was a really excellent move.
Correct. Yeah, well done to Bevan. But again, it's just
sorry, I'll just give Sherry a go first.
Thank you.
I'll take that as a code.
Take it back seat for a second.
Well, one thing, I think it is exposing who our friends and who our enemies are, and we will not forget, at least I won't. But I also think it's so interesting that all these journalists supposedly care about, diversity, sexual diversity, ethnicities, equality in every sense of the word. They care about that. They campaign about it. They're woke until it comes to Jewish people.
Of course.
And the right of Jewish people to exist, to defend our homeland from terrorism, to defend our people after they were kidnapped, brutally murdered, slaughtered, raped. Where have the women's groups been? The women's groups that always, defend those who have been treated unfairly in Parliament House, the Me Too movement, but they don't care about the Jewish Israeli women who were raped and then killed. We haven't seen any of the international women's groups come out. So I think it's exposed them as frauds as well.
Well, one of the heads of the Media Diversity Australia is a signatory on this letter. And
then I'll give you the final word, Joe. It's often said, show the left a minority they don't like. There doesn't exist one. Well, we've found one here, haven't we?
Yeah, no, and again, I've always been staggered as someone who is not Jewish, but everyone thinks I'm Jewish. So, if I feel like I've got a bit of a dog in the fight. But again, if there was a pogrom, and it looks a lot like we've been seeing pogroms on the streets of Australia, unbelievably enough, I could just as easily be the sort of person that someone said, hey, he looks like a kike, I'm going to grab him and away you go. And this is exactly how it happened. I mean, again, as someone made the very valid point over the weekend, the Nazis didn't start out with the gas chambers at Auschwitz. They started out with, blackbanning them, spreading rumours about them, the protocols of the Elders of Zion and spreading that, which is the same document that Hamas seems to believe in. And again, but the most disturbing thing about this letter, though, is that it is doing the exact thing that elsewhere the left pretends it's not doing, which is directly saying that Hamas should be treated the same as the state of Israel. Now, Hamas is a proscribed by this government terrorist organisation. Israel, whether you like the government it's got at the moment or not, and quite frankly, I prefer a different one, but it is a recognised state, it is a democracy, and it is not Al-Qaeda, it is not ISIS, and it is not Hamas. So if a journalist...
Can I just say Caroline was at the Walkleys on Friday night, and Caroline, if I was there as a Jew, I wouldn't have felt safe in that room. I don't know how you felt.
I felt disgusted and appalled, not wholly surprised at all, given this person kicked off the whole night saying his thoughts are with the people who have died in Gaza without mentioning Israel. Then going on to talk about journalist deaths, but making it very clear his position from the start. I refuse to feel like a victim in this. Of course, our community is feeling terrified. I'm wearing my Star of David every single day. I'm not a religious person, but I'm a proud Jewish journalist. I just think it's appalling. And what's as equally appalling in the anti-Semitism in this letter and the double standards is the fact that they say there should be no both sidesism on this issue. So you are completely the journalistic obligation to be balanced.
And I would say to these people, look, seriously, You don't think they wouldn't come for you in Palestine? Free press? Please.